Greetings, everyone. Dr. Espen here. Today I'm joined by someone that I'm really, really excited to have a chat to, someone that I know personally, someone that I look up to personally, and someone that is an absolute specialist in their field. Today we're going to have a chat to none other than Tyler Tolman. Tyler is a detox specialist. He is what I consider to be a bit of a health guru, son of Don Tolman, long lineage of healing, cleansing, just some incredible opportunities today to learn about the real aspects of health and what we can do to really step into health, how to combine what Tyler refers to as the ancient wisdom, the ancient healing wisdom that's now been confirmed by modern science. And with everything happening in the world, I think this is a really important time to have that chat. What is health? What can I do to improve my health? Because we all know, the number one thing to do right now when it comes to all the things that we're hearing about and talking about is to improve your own health and well-being, because our immune system is absolutely superhuman if we give it a chance to become that. So let's talk to the man that might be able to help us do that. Let's talk all things health and wellness. Tyler Tolman, welcome, brother. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, my friend. It's good to see you.
Good to see you again. Absolutely. I want to start by asking a question. In today's society, why do you feel it is so imperative, even for those that sometimes think that they're healthy but may not be healthy? Why do you think now is the time for us to really focus on our health?
Well, everything externally is saying, get your shit together, or get out. So I think more and more people are waking up to the fact now that there's a lot going on in the world that they've been unaware of for a long time. There's a lot of forcing, a lot of mandates, a lot of sickness, maybe not. We're not really sure. But it's forcing us as a human collective to become very clear on what's the most important thing in life. And, I've always known the most important thing is personal health, because without it, I can't provide for my children. I can't, provide for my family. I can't provide for the community. I can't fulfill my purpose in life. So, health has always been at the highest of my values. And for a lot of people, it's not high up there, money, making money, taking care of the family, certain relationships, but health kind of falls by the wayside. So, now it's becoming very clear health needs to be a major part of what we're all doing, and integrating it into these other types of things, if that makes sense.
And, it's crazy. I've seen this as a physician myself. I've got 3 degrees in science, in health, in teaching in health. And then when I started my journey, I was helping people get well, but it wasn't actually that. It was, for most people, helping people get out of symptoms, helping people kind of feel a bit short-term better. And then I realized, and I started digging, deeper and deeper into this. And my background is as a nutritionist. I'm a qualified nutritionist. I was a personal trainer for 12 years and then went on to further university studies. And what I realized is that there's kind of 2 realms. There's the sick care and then the healthcare. I think a lot of people are confusing sick care with healthcare, because we call it a healthcare system, but we both know that it's not really a healthcare system. You don't normally go to your GP and say, "Hey, doc, teach me about the newest in nutrition and cleansing." She'll say, unless they're a specialist in health, obviously, they might say, no, you might want to go to your health specialist, detox specialist, such as yourself, your naturopath, or, whatever. So in today's society, I think it's challenging for people to know if they're healthy. How do I know if I'm healthy? Well, I can feel great and have cancer. I can feel great and have diabetes. I can feel great and, be on the verge of a heart attack. How would you say someone would know if they're healthy?
Yeah, well, I like what you say about, teaching and educating. There's this idea that I have about the new physician. And the new physician, I believe, is actually the original physician that will be brought back to the forefront, not with what we're dealing with now. And to have this conversation, you have to understand what a physician is. The word physician in Latin means the art of healing, and it also refers to an advanced knowledge of nature. So a true physician has an advanced knowledge of nature and how to apply that into the art of healing. And so if you really grasp that one concept, a physician is someone who has a vast knowledge of nature, how to apply that into healing, then ask the question, how many physicians are there in hospitals? how many doctors are true physicians giving people the information about how to live in alignment with nature so that we can stay healthy. You see, the Egyptian physicians and physicians of thousands of years ago, Hippocrates, who laid the foundation for modern medicine, he would teach you the basic principles and everything to support health. Everything was focused on, how do I support health? How do you keep somebody healthy? You bring in the principles of health. You keep them healthy by doing healthy things. They're not fighting disease. It seems like as soon as you get into a war, you end up making that thing worse. You know, we're in a war on terrorists, and now terrorists are out of control. We're a war on the virus, and now the virus is out of control. We're constantly in these wars, which is against essentially the very thing that we're wanting. It's just like, let's just embrace health and move forward. And so I know I'm laying that kind of context. Probably forgot your original question.
Love it. No, the question, and you answered it well, bro. The question was, how does someone know if they're healthy?
Yes. So that comes down to symptoms. And there are people with a really strong constitution. Okay. So we got to, you know, it's a big conversation about homeostasis. You know, there can be some people that, you know, have a really strong constitution, so they can eat hot dogs, drink Coca-Cola, never exercise, never get out in the sun, pretty much don't follow the principles of health, stressed, angry, suppression with drugs and all these things, but they never seem to have symptoms. They never seem to get sick, right? But what happens is their high level of homeostasis, the natural experience of a healthy human being is to be slightly ecstatic and joyful and able to move and create and experiencing life and joy. And we know these people, we see these people where no matter what they're doing, there's something that's driving them, and they have this kind of high level of an ecstatic way of living. Like, that's the ultimate health, right? And how we know we're off track, well, the original physicians could simply look in your eyes, the whites of your eyes, your irises, your face, your posture, skin conditions, nails, tongue, to see if you have, you know, deficiencies or blockages or toxicities or things of this nature. But how the individual should be informed, if they're of ultimate health or not, is, do you wake up early in the morning and feel like getting out of bed and going for a walk or exercising? Are you going to work or going out into the world happy and healthy? Do you feel free and clean in your body and mobile and excited? And if you don't, there's a level of homeostasis that has come down, so that the body will basically take away energy to try to manage other types of toxicities or congestions or issues that are taking place. So, well, I just don't really feel like getting out of bed in the morning. I need to sleep in because I'm wrecked on the weekends. I just don't want to do anything. I'm just trying to recover from the week. And then symptoms, you know, I got a little bit of allergies. I got a little bit of a rash. I got a little bit of a cough. I got a little bit of nasal stuff. I got a little bit of a dull headache. I got a little bit of pain somewhere in my body. All of these are signs and symptoms saying that there's an accumulation of acid. There's some type of congestion. There's something that's off. And instead of addressing the sign or signal when it comes up, we tend to headache, pain pill, you know, anti-inflammatory, antibiotics, anti. It's the whole language of war. And then anytime you go to war with the symptoms, you're suppressing the situation. You might feel better. And you're like, oh, wow, you know, I take the pharmaceutical drug, I feel better, I can go back to work. But we're suppressing something that was a minor issue. And then over time, it'll become subacute and a chronic condition, and then eventually degenerative. And then you got cancer and all these things. And in saying that, like, those people with that strong constitution that are doing all the wrong things but never get sick, those are the ones you're talking about. Well, I never got sick. I feel great. And I've got stage 4 cancer. And it's like, well, you weren't really paying attention to the little symptoms and the homeostasis. And so, you know, unfortunately, you were given a good constitution and not really taught these things. So yeah, there's a lot of ways to identify where congestion, toxicity, and disease is coming up by a real physician. You know, like yourself, you know, you see people, you know, you've been doing this so long, you see someone, you start to have a conversation. You're like, oh man, this guy or girl needs some help. Or, oh, I can just tell there's a level of, you know, needing to light this person back up with the chiropractic and maybe change the daily lifestyle, which you and I know are the most important. The simple things done daily are the pieces that lead to health or lead to the grave, essentially.
Spot on. And, you know, I think that's what most people have forgotten these days, that they are the doctor, they are the best physician. And so they can come to you and I and say, hey, can I help? Can I get some help with this? And can I get some help with that? And certainly we need that kind of guidance. We need that kind of leadership. We need that kind of inspiration.
So that's the piece I would disagree with. They've never been taught, so they're not a physician. They don't know. They've been disempowered, right? And like you're saying, coming to a physician and teaching them how to be their own physician is the way. Hippocrates said, if you are not your own physician, you are a fool.
Yeah, wow, exactly. And that's my point, you know, because I always say the doctor can dress the wound, but only the patient can heal. Because it's okay for someone to put something on, but it's not the doctor that does that healing. It's not the doctor that heals the broken bone. It's the individual and the life force within that. But the life force is just, it's like the light slowly going off. It's like the light slowly coming down, right?
Homeostasis is dropping in order to provide the energy for all the little stuff you're not doing right.
Yeah. So a question that I often ask my patients and students is, what would it be like to wake up energetic in the morning, like you mentioned? What would it be like to be able to make love again for a lot longer? What would it be like to be happy and fulfilled and to have clean skin, to have a body that feels pain-free when you go for that walk or you do whatever? And that's something that I want people to consider, because one thing that I've realized is that, yes, there is, you know, black and white, you can call it disease and health, but there is a whole range of things happening in the middle, like you mentioned, homeostasis, etc. So a question that someone might then ask is, what is the best or the fastest way to start to cleanse this vessel?
Yeah, well, you know, we have to understand what a cleanse is. Okay, so where I would go to with that is we have 4 channels of elimination. Those 4 channels of elimination are defecation, urination, perspiration, and respiration. So pooping, peeing, sweating, and breathing. This is how our body eliminates toxicity. And we need to understand that, you know, there's toxicity in the form of foods, there's toxicity in the form of personal care products, there's toxicity in the form of just cars driving by and pollution. You know, we're exposed to so many different things. But essentially, it's our body has a great capacity to receive toxicity, but get rid of it. You know, think of somebody who smokes 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes a day. It's like, how the hell does that person stay alive? And it's the body has great mechanisms for detoxification. And these mechanisms for detoxification or cleansing are actually the most important to become aware of. And so it's the simple things like waking up in the morning, I drink a liter of fresh water and go for a walk. And what happens? Well, I start to urinate out the acids from yesterday, and then I have to poo. And I'm getting rid of toxins through urination, through defecation. Then I might, you know, do some type of movement. So I sweat, or sit in a sauna and sweat. That's a lot more toxins coming out. Then I take a shower. I clean my skin, which is one of the largest organs of elimination. And I'm doing some form of breath work, whether it's because I'm exercising and I'm breathing deeply, but hopefully in a place with clean air, or I'm doing some type of, you know, Wim Hof or breathing exercise to really open up all these channels of elimination on a daily basis. And these are the things that human beings would have done naturally for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. You wake up, you got to go to your water source. So you're walking, you're drinking water, you're outside, you're breathing fresh air, you're climbing, you're hiking, you're this, you're that. But in today's day and age, these things don't really get addressed. So we wake up, you know, grab our coffee real quick or eat something real quick. And as soon as you're eating first thing in the morning, you're kind of suppressing the body's ability to detox, and the body, all the energy goes back into digestion. So there really are some kind of simple principles that if we just supported the body's natural processes, our body does want to eliminate yesterday's waste when we wake up in the morning. We spent at least a little bit of time doing that, or we're aware. It would prevent a lot of the buildup of toxins that lead to constipation, you know, and then it ends up becoming rashes and allergic reactions and, you know, all kinds of things. So understanding how to cleanse and what detoxification actually is a big part of that.
Yeah. Awesome. That is so cool. And it's so simple. It's really simple. And I used to say to my patients also, well, it starts simple and then it obviously becomes more advanced and more. And I love this journey. And that's why I was a nutritionist for so long, because I started realizing that, hang on, my mood significantly changes based on how I eat.
Yeah.
Hang on, my love life, my mental well-being, the way my body feels significantly changes based on how I live my life, the things I eat, how I breathe and stress I have, the things I drink, etc. So I started looking into it more and more, and then I started discovering some really, really powerful principles. We can talk about fasting. I know you're an expert in fasting, so I like to go there really quickly. And what I started doing is I started testing different fasting regimes, juice fasting, water fasting, whatever. And what I found, and part of the stuff that I teach now, is when you start to reduce the calories, particularly the toxic calories, the foods that are processed, et cetera, et cetera. And gosh, let's not even get started with that conversation. Like, if you understand what's in some of the things that you eat that you think is healthy, if you had any idea of what these E220 or whatever, what that is, if you had any idea of what that does, you would know how manipulated this system has become and how toxic it is to go and grab something from the local supermarket unless you're conscious of that. So let's, we could go down that route, but I want to just check in relation to fasting, because when I started reducing my calories, now that doesn't necessarily mean reducing a nutrient intake. I believe most people are overfed and undernourished. So what happens if we were to reduce our calories to improve our nutrients and to go down that route? I noticed it was almost like I was sitting in a medicine ceremony, or it was almost like I had been meditating for days when I just started reducing my calories.
Yeah.
And I just started having vivid visions and intuition awakened. And I had these amazing human awakening type experiences just by reducing my calories, just by doing some fasting. Talk to us about fasting, Tyler.
You touched on a lot there. I've been running these programs for 10 years, that 3-day program where the first day is just an entire day about artificial colors, artificial sweeteners, hydrogenated oils, MSG, all those different things that we need to become aware of and start to eliminate from our body and from our experience. But that's, one of these things that I've been inspired by is when we look to the ancient past of the strongest, healthiest, I think of like Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Leonardo da Vinci, Pythagoras, and some of the greatest of greats, Moses, Jesus. Like, there's so many individuals that if we study and we look into the past, like, how were they living their lives? What were they doing? And you can find quotes by Plato and Socrates specifically, separately, saying, I fast for 10 days at a time to reestablish mental clarity and physical vigor and strength. It's like, wow, 10 days to reestablish that mental clarity and kind of reverse the aging process and feel so good once again. And it's one thing to read a quote. It's like, oh, that's cool. But then to go and do it, and then to learn over the years of how to do that effectively and what situations can I bring in, like where to fast, who to fast with, what are the little rituals of opening up the channels of elimination while I'm fasting. And then when they weren't doing extended fasts, which probably was like once a year, maybe a couple times a year, depending on the individual. And there's so much science now showing increase in metabolism, reversal of aging, glycation end products, et cetera. Like, the body's literally every cell of the body going back and reverting back to a youthful cell, through the sciences. Like, well, when they weren't fasting, what were they doing? How were they living? And it's very interesting. We have been raised with this idea that breakfast is the most important meal, and that needs to happen when you first wake up. And the reason why it's so easy to fool people is because if you are toxic, if you're out of balance with nature, then when you wake up in the morning, that's when the body's just starting to get into a detoxification phase and clean out. So if you're toxic and you start to get into detox, you feel like crap. And so when you eat breakfast, it actually shuts down detox and you feel better. So entire nations have been duped into believing, oh, I eat breakfast in the morning, I feel better almost immediately, and that's a good thing. No, it's not. If you feel like crap and dragging your ass out of bed and don't feel good in the morning, and then you have to eat breakfast to feel a little bit better and start functioning, or drink coffee just to feel better and start functioning, that's a sign that your body really needs a detox. And really, instead of having to go 10 days on a water fast or extended water fasting, we should every day be supporting the body to go through that detoxification phase for the first, at least a couple of hours of the day, by moving the body, hydrating, and doing things so that we can poo and pee and sweat and breathe. And it doesn't have to be perfect every day, but just being aware of these things and coming up with kind of a morning routine absolutely changes everything. And, like you were saying, just the little pieces that we learn in time, you have more energy and you feel better and you want to do more and you want to do more. And eventually, the greatest of great masters that exist now and have existed for thousands of years will all typically have like an amazing morning type of ritual process that they go through, where it's quite complex. And so we could get into those details. But yeah.
Spot on. I think when we have this discussion around fasting, it's for many people quite, hang on, where do I start? And honestly, and this is, of course, check with your doctor, that sort of stuff. I mean, what's a doctor these days? Doctor means teacher, to teach something that is integral to the being. So you can't take health advice from someone that's not healthy. That's kind of the number one rule, right? You don't take financial advice from someone that's broke. So that's why I take advice from someone like you, Tyler, because you shine, you can see it. You have a glow about you. I know your life force is strong, and you live your life to the fullest. And this is why I'm excited to have these conversations and introduce this to our students as well. When I started the fasting process, it was uncomfortable, so we stop eating for a period of time, or we reduce the calories for a period of time, and then things will come up. Congratulations. Things are coming up. Things are coming out. Oh, but I'm emotional. Congratulations. You get to feel what you need to feel and not actually suppress the emotions by putting, food into your body that creates serotonin and dopamine and makes you, short-term escape. I mean, they say sugar is more addictive than heroin. And so what we can do is just to be clear. Okay, so we have people like Tyler and other people out there that are there to guide us. And if we are, and I use this as a metric, like I intermittent fast, like I'm drinking my tea this morning. I've been for a nice walk in the rainforest. And I just do intermittent fasting. I don't eat until 12. And 12 o'clock, I've done my movement, my breath, whatever. I'm sat in the sun. And then I eat until 6, 7 o'clock. And there are times on a weekend where I'll have a pizza and I'll be out with friends, but I don't do that on a daily basis because I deserve better.
Yeah,
I love myself. And this is kind of like an important thing to consider for everyone watching. I mean, where do you find that balance? For me, honestly, I want to improve. This is my standard, my value. I want to improve my health and well-being and energy as I age. That's the thing. And I remember I was studying many of the ancient, the ascended masters, and I came across a guy called the Count of Saint Germain. And he lived for 350 years. And many people watching this will go, that's bullshit. Well, you go back and look at, as Tyler says, the regenerative process and what may be possible. Maybe not 350 years, but at least what about 90 years pain-free and full of life? What about that? So it's kind of depends on what you want. But I realized that one of the keys to longevity, to healthy life and a happy life and a pain-free life and a life of energy was indeed caloric reduction and or fasting, if you will. So Tyler, let me ask you one question. If you had one message to share to the world right now, before we tell everyone where to go on.
You cut out for me, my friend.
Perfect pause. I was saying, brother, if you had one message for the world right now, what would that be?
Well, if it was going to be a message specifically for human health and longevity, it's right along the exact lines of this discussion. because if you look into gerontology from universities, that's the study of longevity. How can we live the longest possible? There is nothing that even comes close. We've got resveratrol, and we've got, everybody looking into sirtuins and mTOR and all the science and all the beautiful stuff of astragalus and telomerase and all these buzzwords and supplements and things that people can do, NAD and this and that. And it's like all those things, are potentially great, and it's great science, but none of them even come close to the one thing that can radically extend your life. And you and I both know what that is. It comes down to two ways of going about it. Number one is calorie restriction. When we restrict our calories, all animals across the board, including humans, will extend their lives. And it's easy to reduce calories when you just change to plant-based foods, because if you eat a lot of broccoli and carrots and celery and fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds, they're very high nutrient based and very low calorie. What we're used to eating, a small burger or steak or chicken or fish or whatever it is, you can eat so much more, eat as much as you want, and try to overeat when you're eating plant-based foods, and you're getting a lot less calories. But the way I like to go about it, and it sounds like you want to go about it too, is this situation of intermittent fasting. And your body adapts to it. And, and I know you have so much more energy, you have so much more clarity. It's what our ancient ancestors did. I think everybody should read the Essene Gospel of Peace, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls translated. And it says, eat when the sun is highest in the sky, and again before it sets, and you'll never see disease. It's as simple as that. And all of the sciences are showing us that if you wait till midday before you start eating, your body can go through that whole phase of detoxification and clear everything out. And then you can get autophagy, and you can have a little bit of ketosis, and your digestive system heals, your skin heals, your body's able to deal with whatever you ate yesterday. Even if it was chicken and fish and beef and all these things, you have the time for the body to catch up. And then by 12 o'clock to 6 or 8 o'clock, you end up enjoying, and if you are enjoying plant-based foods, then you got all those nutrients, and you got all these anti-cancer compounds and all these beautiful things that are going to make you glow and feel good, and, not develop all the acids and things of that nature. So that would be the one message I would share, is no matter what you eat, and if you don't feel like you can change your diet, or you don't feel like you can do an extended fast, the daily routine is actually the most important. And, I ran an entire program called Praxis for many years, where we bring in groups of 30 people at a time, didn't know anything about health, Australians, that were looking to avoid cancer and just wanted to learn. And from day one, we'd put everybody on intermittent fasting, water only, from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock at night till 12 the next day. And usually the first day or two, people have headaches, they feel like crap. By the end of the program, they all have more energy, clarity, strength. We're out early in the morning, exercising by the beach, strength training, moving, playing games. And it's a transformational experience where all these people have never heard of it. At the end of the program, they're just like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Like, of course, you can have a weekend off and go have some breakfast with some family, but it's what we do most of the time that's most important. So I'd say if anybody can really adopt that time restricted eating between 12 and 6 to 8, something like that. And if it's really hard, you can start 10 o'clock in the morning and then go to like 6 or 7 o'clock at night and slowly shorten up that window. It's going to naturally reduce caloric intake. Your body's going to adapt to it. You're going to be able to take in all the nutrients, assimilate all the nutrients properly, and be able to detox. You're following the natural cycles of our human experience, and you're going to extend your life. And anything that radically extends your life, like this way of living, also radically reduces all-cause mortality, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, etc. And that's it.
Spot on, brother. Love that. Okay, last question, my friend. Where do people go to find out more about your work?
Yeah, just simply tylertolman.com, Tolman, tylertolman.com. I'm constantly putting on free events, teaching more of the ancient Egyptian wisdom and background and what they were really about. Just a quick tidbit, Saint Germain, every 100 years would change his name. He was actually Shakespeare. And if you look at images of Shakespeare and Saint Germain, put them on top of each other, They're pretty much identical. Another person that lived to be 350 years old was the Yellow Emperor of China. And there's whole books written about him and how he lived his lifestyle. And so, you know, through every tradition, we have these this true history of being able to live much longer. And like you were saying, whether you can live to be 350 or not, if that's your goal, how are you going to feel when you're 90?
Guys, check out Tolman.com. If you are like me, a person that thrives on having coaching, having mentorship, having some accountability, some leadership, jump into one of his programs, check it out. I mean, literally could make a huge difference for the rest of your life. And I know the community is just amazing. For those of you watching, we are going to hop into the censored version. There's a lot that we want to say. And Tyler's going to talk about his detox. We're not going to say any more than that. But there are some things that could be very useful for a lot of people now, depending on what they've put their bodies through. So go to drespen.com/DRE TV, subscribe, pop in there if you haven't got, it's $20 a month, guys. Lots of amazing videos. Pop in there and check out this interview that we're about to go live with Tyler on how to detoxify from some very, very interesting things. Tyler, love you, bro. Thanks for doing what you're doing for the world, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, buddy. See you in the next chat. Bye, everyone.